Okay. I think I'm live, and if I am, great. And here we go. Here we go. I feel like we have enough light, so that's good. Let me let everybody know. Let me let everybody know. Hope everybody's doing okay. Just a moment here. Okay. So that's posted. Hey, Bilju. Good to see you in here, man. Let everybody know where you're from. Um, yeah, so as always, I'm gonna wait until about the 5 minute mark before I start answering any question. Um, and actually, this week I did not write down any question in terms of what I should be talking about. So I'm gonna come up with a few right now. Let's see. What should I talk about today? Um, let's see. No, there was a question. Oh, actually, the wife just helped me out, sent in a few questions. Thanks, wife. Let's see. That's good. Okay. So, the first question that I will answer is, when did I first realize I wanted to be a entrepreneur or business owner? And then the second question was, uh, how did I decide on prices for clients? Okay. So I'll be answering that. Well, any other questions that you guys might have, let more people come in and have any questions to ask. So, feel free to hop in. And for those of you that are watching a recording of this, I tend to start answering questions about 5 minutes in. So for those of you rewatching, just feel free to skip ahead just a little bit. Need to grab some water. Might take a second here and go grab some water. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. Stay tuned for just a moment. I'm gonna grab some water. And what do we have? All right, got to stay hydrated for this type of thing. Okay, so about 30 more seconds or so, and I'll be starting to answer some questions. Uh, man, we're in early April now. Hard to believe a quarter of the year is already over. It's amazing that we all made it through 2020, and now it's almost a year and a half past 2020. So Yeah. Then for the start of 2020, we're already 2 years past that. I guess it's simple math, but it's still a crazy thing to think about. Okay, so all right, 5 minute mark. So before I answer a few questions here, I guess I should give a few announcements. Um, no, actually, there aren't any big announcements. Oh, yeah, there is one. One, and every now and then I talk about this, but um, I'm going to be bringing my podcast back. Technically, it exists right now. You can go check it out. It's called the Worst Deal Ever podcast. Worst Deal Ever podcast. And the cool thing about it is that we talk to different currently successful entrepreneurs on the worst deal that they've ever been a part of, like in the past. And I've always felt that the biggest lessons are learned through your failures. Um, you can learn some things when things go well, right? When things are going well, I mean, you know that what you're doing is right, but oftentimes, in order for things to go well, especially in entrepreneurship, business ownership, as a career, you have to spend some time, trial and error, tribulations, and a lot of people, they will gloss over that story and say, "Oh, I started with this and then I got here," but they don't really spend too much time talking in depth about the extent of failure, why it happened. And so rather than spending like 90 seconds, on some little snippet online, our whole podcast is about exploring the depth of failure, why it happened, and the lessons that you can learn from it that in the case of successful entrepreneurs, help them to become successful, right? Because obviously failure is meant to be a starting point, but you got to have the wherewithal, and obviously there's a lot of luck involved in certain situations, but you got to have the wherewithal to move beyond the failure to get to success. And so, we've got the credibility of people that have achieved success, and again, taking the wisdom that they've gained from the failures that they've had in the past. So I think it's an awesome concept. Again, it already exists. You can check it out on like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and some other platforms. And so we'll be adding an episode to it. Another sort of announcement is that I'm going to be doing. I've created sort of a situation where it'll be easier for me to create more content. I'm going to be doing more of the motivational minute, which you know, those are just little nuggets of learning. I've got about 25 to 30 of them on the channel right now. You can check that out on the playlist. It's just meant to give you little nuggets of information, general business tips, right? And then in addition, there's some call center specific topics that I'd like to touch on in separate YouTube videos. And so there's a list of about five. Uh, there's, I think there's 5 different videos that are on the list. Oh, Bill just said he loved the motivational minute. Thank you for that. So there's 5 videos that I still intend on creating, and that list is just going to keep building up. Uh, so the point is, for you guys to have valuable content that you can consume, right? Like, I've got the course available for people that are looking to fully dive in and launch this call center company. But for those of you that are still trying to wrap your heads around this and figure things out, it's nice to have as much background information as possible. And so that's the point of more videos. So basically, I now have some assistants that I've hired that will enable me to take the content I've created, like the raw content, and then do the editing and do the posting and all that stuff, which is the thing that I don't like to do all that much. It's too tedious, and so it makes it so that I'm not creating as much content as I'd like to. So with these hires, now you guys can look forward to more content. You can look forward to the podcast. You can look forward to more motivational minute, and you can look forward to more, YouTube video on the call center topic. So get ready to see more of my face. Okay, so again, there's a few questions that my wife came up with, which thank you for doing that again. Uh, and so the first one here is, when did you first realize you wanted to be a business owner slash entrepreneur? Okay, and whoever hopped in, feel free to say hi. Let us know where you're from. When did you first realize you want to be a business owner? So um, I realized I wanted to be a business owner early on. Honestly, I grew up in an environment where there was a good amount of people in my sphere of influence, basically. Kids that I grew up with, kids I went to school with, that came from a lot of money. That had a lot of wealth in their families, and you don't really pay that much attention when you're a kid. Not like I'm treating it like a future entrepreneur situation, like, oh, what do you do, and how did you create your success, blah blah blah. All you really notice when you're a kid is, wow, that's a really nice house. Wow, that's a really nice car, or whatever. Right? It just seems like the lifestyle are better, or more grand, I guess, than that of an average family. And so, as you get older, you really realize the differences. And in a lot of cases, some of my, parents of my friend, uh, they seem like pretty chill, and maybe some of them were completely stressed out, but, some of them didn't look it. And so, what I recognized, what I took from it, and I might have been wrong, but what I took from it was that, it was going to be very difficult to achieve these levels of success if I had a traditional job career. Um, I've learned more recently as an adult that there are some jobs that pay a tremendous amount of money, but money is not the only goal. The other goal is to have a level of control over my life, even during the journey, right? So, a lot of people, especially those that are like super motivated to make a lot of money and be all successful, they like hustle and work so many hours and go so crazy. And they basically, they use all of their youthful years in creating that wealth and creating that money. Um, and by the time, a lot of times, if they're lucky enough to, be a multimillionaire or whatever, have a large retirement, or, have significant material things or experiences, whatever they want, right? To have significant financial independence, a lot of people are spending their entire life working a lot of hours. And yeah, if they do it right, if you play your cards right, you can be in a situation where you can have, a nice bank account and all the things that come with that. But if you are like 60 years old when it happened, and if some of you guys watching this are around that age, great. Like, it's never too late to work on whatever your dreams are. But a lot of you, if you have the opportunity to have some control over your time before you reach a retirement age, like a standard retirement age, then all the better, right? Um, what I wanted was a situation where, I could have control of my time and have, financial independence, and then have a good amount of time to enjoy it. And hey, I appreciate that. Good to see you on here. So yeah, there's a lot of people that basically, you guys get the point. There's a lot of people, most people, even ones that attain real success, they spend all of their young years working their butts off, and by the time they're ready to retire, if they're lucky enough to stay alive for all that and be in good health, right, and still feel youthful, you have less time to enjoy it. And there is some nice things about being able to take care of your loved ones. I'm sure that's great, but again, I wanted to be able to actually enjoy my life in a stylish way while not being old. So that is the premise as to why I wanted to be a business owner. I felt out the best vehicle to provide what I was looking for, right? which was control my time and enough money to enjoy it. That's my motto. Um, and so I realized this. It started to really come together when I was around 16 years old. I read this book, Rich Dad Poor Dad, which I'm sure most of you are familiar with. You know, and think what you want about it, but the reality is that that book, especially at the time back in the year like 2000, um, one of the if one of not many resources at the time that really gave you a completely different perspective on how to view money, on how to view, the accumulation of wealth, on how to, sort of view what the system really is in terms of the job world, and what the difference is in terms of trying to pursue an entrepreneurial career. And so 16. So I would say I knew pretty early, and it was very locked in. I've always been this way since that realization. And I think being consistent in knowing that I wanted that was a huge reason for me being able to, be working for myself since 27 years old. So that answers that question. And Made in China, if you got any questions, I forgot your real name. I apologize. Feel free to ask. Um, so the second question that was asked, thankfully provided by my wife, was, how did you decide on prices for your clients? And I've sort of answered it before, but I think it's always good to answer it. Um, oh, that's cool. Very cool. So I guess I answered a question about invoice issues, and he has started training a friend in Africa as an agent. What country in Africa? Because that sounds pretty cool. Um, um, so how did I decide on pricing? As far as pricing, when I started off, it was just very simple. So there's certain things that there's no reason to overcomplicate it, right? I was new to the Oh, that's awesome. I was new to the industry. He said Zimbabwe. The people that I just hired are actually Zimbabwean. So I'm very excited about this. Um, uh, I don't like to overcomplicate certain things. I was new to the industry, and so I wasn't going to sit here and say, "Oh, I know the best way to price this service that I've never provided for." I didn't work for a virtual receptionist company, and so rather than trying to reinvent anything based off of theory, I just looked at a couple companies that I wanted to sort of emulate in terms of what they were doing, because you know, looking at their branding and everything, it looked like they really had their stuff together, and you could tell they were sizable companies. Um, and so there were two that I paid attention to. One was Ruby Receptionist, and the other was Gabbyville Receptionist. And so those two companies, they had a huge impact on how I decided to put my company together, Vicky Virtual. At least at first, right? We had our own sort of things once we started to get our business established and operate and have clients and stuff. But again, there were just certain things that I wanted to quickly launch and be able to get things going, so I didn't overcomplicate it. And so I'm pretty sure we just copied the pricing at the time that Gabbyville had. Eventually, they changed their prices and went up and kept ours the same because our margin, we're still happy with our margin. Um, so, yeah, I mean, it's a simple question, simple answer. How did we decide on pricing? Well, we looked at our competitive prices and picked one that made sense. I did do a little bit of napkin math to make sure that it seemed like the margins would be there. And honestly, the margin based off of my napkin math was so large that I knew that even if I was off by 10% or 15%, 20%, I'd still be happy in the long run once we hit certain revenue milestones. So yeah, I mean, the nice thing about pricing is that you can launch at a certain price point, And if for some crazy reason that pricing isn't working out for your first several clients, you can change your prices going forward. And whatever new clients you bring in can be at that price point, or if you've got the type of relationship to make this happen, you can update the pricing across the board, and even change it for your current client. Um, we didn't do that. We grandfathered in some of our earlier clients. In fact, one of the things we did, and this might be a good tip, one of the things we did to incentivize our founding uh, clients is that we gave them 10% off. Matter of fact, that's what my next motivational minute is going to be on. Let me write that down. Motivational minute on founder client pricing. And so founder client pricing is it's a tried and true, pretty popular method for incentivizing, new clients during a pre-launch period. So you decided you want to build a company. Let's say to call center. You decided you want to build your call center. You're putting things together. You got an email list, hopefully that you're building with interested prospect. That may or may not sign up for your offering once you launch. And so again, to incentivize them using you versus one of your competitors that already exists, you can say, hey, if you're one of our founding clients, you get 10% off per month for life, right? Now, again, we did the napkin math, so we knew that we'd be completely fine even giving 10% off for life. Plus, it would give us some revenue and the ability to operate, get some experience, and start to get our feet wet. All the good things, right? You want to get the proof of concept. You want to make sure your business is viable and you need client for it. So we gave 10% off for life, and it was great. Um, but yeah, other than that, after 3 years, we did raise our pricing. Um, so January 1st, 2015, we had our initial pricing. Then January 1st, 2018, we finally raised our price. And I didn't raise it again. And then I sold the company almost 2 years later. So I only raised the price once during the entire time I had the company, and it was fine because our expenses didn't go up much. We started to have some hierarchy in terms of management as we grew, but when you don't have an office, um, it's not like our office expenses were higher, uh, and frankly, some of the management moves we were starting to make were offset by our efficiency and productivity gains we were getting from just having more agents handling more clients, right? Initially, your agents aren't getting full. Uh, you're not getting full efficiency and productivity out of each agent. You're not um, like say you're paying your agent, like, let's say all in you're paying an agent 2 grand a month. uh the amount of revenue that you're making per agent is going to be lower when you're starting off because you don't have the economy of scale yet. uh you need a certain amount of agents to sort of handle the overflow of calls that come in because calls always come in wave. But once you get to a certain size, about 20,000 to 30,000 a month in revenue, you for a little while, your margins, your growth margins will go up because instead of making like maybe 3,500 to 4,000 an agent, you're probably closer to 4,500 to maybe even $5,000 in revenue per agent. And so, because your labor cost as a percentage of your total revenue are lower, right? It's a smaller percentage expense. Well, now you're opening up your budget and margin to be able to start hiring the supervisors and managers and that stuff. So, you know, it's not a huge thing to have to raise your prices too soon. At a certain point, inflation is happening anyway, and the rest of the industry is slowly raising their prices. So at a certain point, there's no reason not to. Once you have a certain amount of clients, you have a strong foundation to do so anyway. And then you can have an even healthier company by having even more margin, growth margin to work with, because now you're in a more premium pricing situation. So, like again, I talk about Ruby receptionists all the time because they are. And again, if you guys have any questions, feel free to let me know. I talk about Ruby receptionists all the time because they are one of the most expensive options on the market, and yet they're also one of the largest. Um, and so, the nice thing there is because they are priced so high, they can pay their agent more than most other companies can. They're providing all kinds of benefits for their agent. So they're attracting, on average, better talent, right? And they can have more operational resources. So they can have like a whole IT department in house. They can, build more things in house. They've got like a nice, fancy mobile app. They can work on things that make the offering better, the company better, uh, because they charge enough to afford to do that. If you didn't charge enough to afford to do those things, then you can never do them. So um, as you establish your company and you get more clients, don't be afraid to raise your prices, and don't be afraid to put yourself in a position that you can invest more to just make your company better, always, consistently, and always. Um, so that's all I've got on those couple questions. If any of you guys have any questions, feel free to let me know. Um, if you know, again, for those of you that are coming in a little later here, uh, oh, so Made in China has a question. I'll answer that. What advice would you give for what advice would you give for cold calling telemarketing as a business? I see a huge potential of selling Chinese product. Um, So the question I always ask when someone asks me the question is, do you mean having clients that ask for these services, like providing cold calling telemarketing for specific clients, or are you saying you hire your agents and you're cold calling telemarketing to sell your own products, like Chinese product maybe that you're wholesaling or white labeling or something? So on behalf of yourself or on behalf of client? That's my question to you. And depending on your answer to that, I'll have an answer for you. Wanting to sell your own products. I mean, the thing is, if you're selling your own products, then you're not in the call center business. You're in the e-commerce space. And what's happening there is that the cold calling telemarketing is simply a method of marketing for your e-commerce business. So yeah, I mean, you're hiring agents, you're setting up a phone system, that type of deal. But to answer the question there is, do you want to have an e-commerce company, or do you want to have a call center company? Uh, you know, Providing call center services on behalf of other clients. If you want to be in the e-commerce space, then yeah, I mean it's certainly an effective method. There's all kinds of people that are doing cold calling. I don't know. I can't give you too much advice in the e-commerce space because I don't have a lot of experience in e-commerce. Um, but I do know that there are plenty of operations going for people that are selling product over the phone. And if you're able to, if you got people in Zimbabwe, especially, uh, the labor costs are low. There's some good motivated people there. Um, have at it. There's definitely nothing wrong with that. And theoretically, also you could continue to just have agents. Once you have the infrastructure set up, you got the phone system going, you got the agents going, you've got the like different like KPIs and metrics and training set up for people to do those things. There's no reason why you can't take that sort of infrastructure that you built and use that telemarketing piece that you're using for your own marketing method. There's no reason why you can't sell that as a service to others as well. So obviously there might be some other clients that are selling other things that might need or want a cold calling option. You can provide the agent for them and charge them for that. So you could sell your own products, and then you could potentially sell product for other clients, and now you've got two potential revenue streams under the same infrastructure, right? It's still just having a phone system, agents, and training, for different agents to be able to sell product. Now, what I will say also though that it's difficult. You got to find the leads. There's a lot of training as it pertains to the agent. You're going to get a lot of turnover, regardless of how good the overall labor pool is or how motivated they are. Going to be a lot of turnover, and so you have to have really tight, cohesive system, and standard operating procedures and training and scripts and such. Uh, I recommend that you don't really go into it unless you're pretty darn good at selling yourself, and you're pretty good at writing compelling script, writing compelling copy for those script, that type of deal. Um, there's a lot. There's a lot to it, as I'm sure you know. But just know that if you go that route, you're in the e-commerce space. You're not in the call center space. You might have established a call center, but you're utilizing the call center only as a marketing method, not as a business service offer. Okay. So I hope that answers your question. And actually, I've got about 6 more minutes, so let me know, guys, if you have any other last question. Got my second call coming up here. Um, so yeah, I'll announce again. You're gonna see some more content coming. We're gonna be continuing the motivational minute. We're going to be bringing back my podcast, and I'm finally gonna get to work on some of the ongoing YouTube video ideas. I've been looking to, sort of get recorded and edited to get up on the channel for you guys. Um, you know, Again, there's not many people talking about this, and so it's good for you guys to be able to get as much information as you can from me, and I want to provide as much information regarding this, uh, great business as I can. So, yeah, I'm gonna stick around for 2, 3 more minutes for any other questions you've got, and we'll see you next week. Also, I apologize. I wasn't on last week on what was it, March 31st, I guess. I apologize for that. My puppy had to have a surgery, and he's all good now, but had to take the week off. So yeah, whoever hopped in, I'm going to be around for just a few more minutes. So any questions you want to ask at this point, feel free to ask now, or else you're going to have to wait until next week, or comment or whatever. So I'm going to wait about 30 more seconds or so. And yeah, any questions you guys might have, feel free to ask. I'm still here for a few more minutes. Made in China Act. Are there any lockdowns in the U.S.? Um, I don't know. So, in the state of Illinois, no more anymore. No more lockdown. Uh, Miss T asked, "What is the current amount to join the course?" So the current amount to join the course, I'm just gonna post a link to it. So click on that link, and it breaks down the price. Actually, let me make sure this. Yeah, it breaks down the price in here. Um, and actually, this price is 20% less because that specific link to join the tribe thing is a 20% less than the regular price. I'll just say it because I don't think I'm ever going to raise it again. So the the retail price of the course is $2,497 or 4 payments of $697. But the link that I put there take 20% off of that. So it's 1997 or 4 payments of 547 in a monthly payment. And if you go to monthly option, you get immediate access to the entire course immediately. So it's not like, you pay the first month and you get access to a quarter of the course. Not like that. Also, I've had the course for a little bit over 2 years now, and we've got a bit over 200 students. And now we've got a good amount of people that have launched. There's a few people that I think there's three now that have no, I'm going to say two that are doing at least 100,000 a month in revenue, and there's a third that's like extremely close that I know of. So, there's also a 30-day money back guarantee. And so I hope that answers your question. Okay. Any other final question before I hop off? Awesome. So yeah, I don't know how long I'm going to keep that link up. Hey, Sabina. So Sabina is actually one of the people that are one of the paid student in the tribe. She's in Canada, and Sabina, if you could let us know how you feel about the course. Um, yeah, the course goes over how to open a call center anywhere on the planet, really. My company, technically, we registered the company in Texas, but I live in Chicago, and our agents were located across the U.S. We actually hired people in 20 different states, which I do not recommend. But the from a conceptual standpoint, we go over how to start a call center, and because it's remote, even if you use US based agents, all of our agents are working from home. And, you know, uh, and so they can be anywhere. You can be anywhere. You just need to have the internet and a laptop. I continue to run and build the business, even as I traveled internationally. It didn't matter where I was. I just need to have internet and a laptop, right? I didn't even have to have my cell phone a lot of the time, in terms of being able to, as long as you have other agents that are taking the calls, then you don't even have to have your cell phone. Like, you don't have to use it. So, part of the reason I started this business in the first place was because I wanted something that was location independent. Um, I wanted something where I didn't have to go into an office, even if it was an office that I created. And and so yeah, Sabina said it, very informative, shows has access to it. Um, yeah, and then also, in the tribe, you have access to a lot of people that have launched, right? I'm about to hop off of this in a minute to do our weekly tribe call, which is our paid student group call. And so, because about 45 uh, people that I know of have launched, there's a good amount of people that sort of hop in. It's like a few every week, right? That hop in, sort of answer questions. And so instead of just me answering questions, you've got other people that have launched and are running their businesses right there answering the question. Um, Miss T, yes, you can begin the business by being the only call agent. Probably, seriously, probably 50% of the people that launch, they are the first agent. Um, and the nice thing about that is that you take in all that revenue for yourself when you're the agent because you don't have any payroll cost. Obviously, you've got your phone system cost and the other stuff. But as far as payroll, it's just you. Sabina says she's going to be taking call, on behalf of her own client. So there we go. Um, Miss C asks, how much can one earn alone if running the business per month? That fully depends on. Okay, the simple answer to that question is there's only a certain amount of bandwidth of calls that you can personally take each month, right? Once you are on the phone for a certain amount of minutes, calls are going to come in that you're missing. And once you're missing calls, well, you're not providing a high quality of service anymore. And so the average agent in general can handle about 4,000 minutes a month before they're like really missing calls consistently. And so whatever you're charging for 4,000 minutes a month, is how much you would be earning theoretically in revenue. Um, so that's probably going to be somewhere between $4,000 to $5,000 a month. But even though a lot of people they think about this in terms of making that first $1,000, making that first $2,000 a month, which I'm sure is incredibly important, right? Especially when you're starting a new company. The real goal of this is to get to the point that you have agents working for you, so that you're really building a business. Um, to get to the point where you're making $10,000 a month in profit and more, you're gonna have to have agents working for you. But what a lot of people do is they will start off, being an agent, and then once they're making, 4 to 5 grand, they hire an agent, pay, 1,500 for the agent, and then that agent can handle $4,000. And then, once you're at $8,000 in revenue, you hire a third agent, and you just keep going, one agent at a time. So doesn't need to be complicated. Um, but yeah, the money is in having people working for you. So I hope that answers your question sufficiently. This keeps happening. There's slightly more people in here now that it's time for me to hop off. So if any of you guys have really quick questions, feel free to ask. Sabina, thank you for mentioning that. So it's been thank you. So yeah, it's been 43 minutes, 44 minutes. At 46 minutes, I'm straight up hopping off. So any other final questions, feel free to ask. The reason I have to hop off is because I start the tribe call in 9 minutes, and so obviously I don't want to be late for that. Yeah, if you do the one-time payment, it's less expensive. So, uh, the one-time payment is $1,997. The four payments is $547 a month, which is $2,200. So you're saving 10% by doing the one-time payment. And that's in addition to the 20% off of the regular price that I'm doing right now. So instead of, so the regular way to do it if you're doing four payment is, four payments at $697, which is about, just short of $2,800. So if you do a one-time payment on that specific link that I posted up in the chat, you're saving $800 on that. Yeah, I won't, Sabina, I won't forget. So yeah, and not to be over salesy about this, but the reality is that our students are now doing a combined close to $1 million a month in revenue. So the students that have launched their businesses as a result of this course combined were approaching $1 million per month in revenue. So, the business works. The course is informative enough for people to launch, especially with the tribe community. And, in terms of whether people are getting their value or not, it's just not a question anymore. People are making money in this business. It's a very simple business. Um, and, created by someone that actually built this business. A lot of people that do courses, the only thing they ever made real money in is the course that they're selling. Well, I made my money in the business that I'm teaching. So, okay, guys. So now, Miss T, if you have any other questions, if you can find me on Facebook, feel free to message me directly, or you can email me directly. If not, feel free to just join when you can. Again, there's a 30-day money back guarantee. And so you'll be able to go through the course probably before that, and you'll know whether this is something that makes sense for you. So, it's up to you, but I hope to see you on the other side. And if you join quick enough, you can hop on this call that starts in 6 minutes. So, appreciate you guys for being on here. And I will see you guys next week. For those of you that didn't hop in quickly enough, I do this every single week, just about. Like I missed last week because of my dog. But every single week, pretty much, I do this call at 6:30 p.m. Central Time. So 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time on Wednesdays. So mark your calendar, right? Especially for those watching the recording, mark your calendar so that when I start the call, you'll be able to just hop in and answer the questions you have. Because we find a lot of people hopping on towards the end, and then you got to think up a question, and then you're not getting the information that you need at the moment. So again, I appreciate you all, and I'll see you next week.